Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I'm looking at an Acer Aspire V5 today, and this has got a cracked touchscreen. The digitizer is cracked, which is causing false input all over the screen, which is a pain in the backside. So we're going to take this apart and replace the digitizer. Now I'm going into this repair completely blind. I've never replaced one of these before. I'm assuming that the procedure to replace it is going to be fairly similar to how you'd replace the front glass on an iPad or a MacBook. So that's the kind of tactic I'm going in with here. However, haven't done this, haven't researched it. Let's see how well I do. So we're going to start off by removing the display assembly from the laptop. So I'm going to strip this down, get the display assembly off so I've got a nice clear space to work with. So let's get on with that. Okay, so we've split the display assembly off of the base now, and we can see that this laptop has probably taken a fall, which is what's done the damage, because it's also broken the screws that are holding this hinge into the bottom case. Now, I don't think that's going to be a catastrophe. Although we've got two broken screws, there are also two intact screw points. So I think by the time we screw this all back together and replace the missing screws, because there were quite a few missing screws out the bottom as well, I think it'll all hold itself together. So we'll crack on as we are right now and start getting this glass off. Alright, so the way we're going to do this, we've got a hairdryer and a bunch of prying tools here, and I'm going to heat the edge of the glass up and get these prying tools underneath it. And if I work my way around the edges, we should then be able to lift this digitizer up and off. Since the crack is isolated to just that corner, we should be able to take most of it off in one single piece. Although, of course, because we're replacing this front glass, it doesn't really matter if I do break the rest of it getting it off. However, the more I can keep it in one piece, the easier the process will be. So, let's get started. Okay, so I've made a start on removing this glass. However, I've immediately found that the digitizer is glued to the front of the LCD, which is kind of a big problem because it means that I can't remove the digitizer without destroying the LCD. However, it has occurred to me that all I have to do is replace the LCD and then put the new digitizer on top of that. So I was literally about to throw this video out. I'd actually stopped recording and I was about to delete everything. But then I suddenly realised that if I put a new LCD in and then put the digitizer on top, even though the new stuff won't be glued together, it'll still work absolutely fine. So we're going to carry on with this now. So we're going to jump straight back into fast forward because this is going to be a very messy job of just digging the damn thing out now. So this is not going to be pretty, it's not going to be glamorous. We're just going to get this job done. So something else has just occurred to me that I'm just going to quickly check for as well, is that I want to make sure that it's not possible to remove the back of this display assembly. I'm not quite sure if that will actually get me anywhere or not, but I'm just going to see, just in case that reveals something interesting. Right, what are we achieving here? Okay, right, yeah, we seem to be removing the LCD and front glass and front bezel. I'm going to keep going with this because this was obviously the right way to do it. Okay, right, so that's just split the LCD and front glass from the back panel. Right, okay, so what can we now do with that? This does mean that if I buy a new front bezel, I don't have to mess about with any of this glass removal bull crap. I'm going to see if I can find a new front bezel, because that might just save me from having to do this horrid glass business. No, I can't find it. Okay, so here's the thing. What I should have done was bought a complete unit. You can buy this as a complete unit on eBay, so digitizer, frame and LCD. That's what I should have purchased. However, I did not realise that the LCD would be glued to this, so I bought just a straight digitizer on its own. Now, if it was possible to buy the frame on its own, I'd have all three pieces and I could build a new assembly of my own. However, if I buy a new assembly now, I'm going to be left with a digitizer I can't use. So, in order to save that investment that I've made, I'm going to carry on doing this and recover this frame, and then I can reuse it. So we'll go from there. So we're going to carry on with the glass business. Right, we've just got to rescue the webcam and remove this display cable, and then, well, there we go, there's our frame, and that, we've got a few bits of glass to remove from it, but that is intact. There's a few marks that will clean up though. The frame is not in perfect condition anyway, but that's a good result. We didn't snap it at any point. So let's have a quick look at how this touchscreen connects up. What we seem to have here, we've got a standard Razer LCD panel that was not screwed in. It was held in just simply by having the digitizer glued down on top of it. Then we've got a unique little controller on the back here. We've got a touchscreen controller. So the digitizer ribbons connect to there. Then that looks like an earthing strip. And then there is what is probably essentially a USB connection there, which joins in to the display cable and eventually goes back to the main motherboard connector. So if we can rescue this controller off the back, I can use just a standard Razer LCD to replace this one. And we should end up with something that is exactly the same as what we have just destroyed. So let's get this fella out. God, I haven't made a mess like this since I used to do iPads, and this is exactly the reason why I stopped doing iPads. I'm almost glad that I've encountered this issue and discovered that you can just buy the display assemblies entirely, because that just means that next time I encounter this job, it's not going to be this nightmarish situation. But you know, I'm not going to scrap this video just because the point of keeping this video rolling now is just to show you that this is the learning process. This is essentially, you know, if you want to discover how to really fix a computer, you've got to do a couple of nightmare jobs like this. Sure, if I checked eBay a little bit more carefully, I would have seen that there were complete display assemblies, but because there were also complete digitizers, I still would have had to actually take one apart to realize that the LCD was glued in. So this is just part of the learning process.